These trade rumors really are crazy. We've got another one in this evening/afternoon with news coming out that Jake Stringer and Collingwood have progressed in talks regarding a potential 2-year contract at around $550 a year plus incentives. That is well within its infancy stage, but it's definitely some progression, and it seems like Collingwood have elected what we're looking for in this trade period. And what are we looking for? When it comes to the forward line specifically, we're talking key forwards, but if you look at what we have available to us right now in our team, we've got Brody Myercheck and we've got Dan McStay as our two key pillars in the forward line. Now we tried Ash Johnson, we tried Reece McInnes, and we tried Nathan Kruger as that third key tall forward. It seems like now Fly is looking for that perfect balance between real power forward or small forward who can also apply pressure at ground ball level and can definitely win a centre clearance. We saw what Stringer did against the Pies in that Anzac Day clash. So there's a lot of variability and versatility when it comes to someone like Jake Stringer. So I'm starting to understand what all this fuss is being caused about. Manny, I can hear you screaming at me through this camera right now because you've held true when it comes to the Jake Stringer talk. So yeah, that's what he's being offered. Loose conversations around $550 a year. And we know he's an impact player, great 101. He had a 40-goal season. And the other thing which we need to be mindful of, which is a positive for Collingwood, is Jake Stringer is a non-free agent. So what that means is Collingwood essentially has the upper hand in this trade conversation. If Essendon don't agree to what Collingwood offer the Bombers, Stringer could simply walk from this whole trade conversation and nominate into the national draft, and effectively Essendon will receive nothing for wherever Jake Stringer ends up. Whereas if Essendon do agree to a trade that Collingwood offer, then at least Essendon aren't left empty-handed. Think that Luke Ball trade. I think similar sort of situation where Collingwood and St Kilda couldn't come to an agreement, therefore St Kilda decided that Luke Ball should decide to go into the draft. That way St Kilda aren't trading away someone like Luke Ball for pick 30 to Collingwood, who are a direct competitor. Somehow Ball ends up finding his way at pick 30 in the national draft and ends up at Collingwood anyways, but that is a story for another day. We're talking about Jake Stringer, and that is why we have the upper hand. So let's talk about what exactly we should be offering up to Jake Stringer. So as far as the trade hypotheticals are concerned, I think we can offer one of two things for Jake Stringer. I'm pretty bullish that Collingwood could probably offer pick 32 for Jake Stringer, as we have the upper hand in this trade conversation, which is a second rounder effectively. Or can we potentially even offer Nathan Kruger in a straight swap, and then maybe even bundle something where we can just kill two birds with one stone and get, say, a Nathan Kruger and a third rounder, or Nathan Kruger and a second rounder for Jayden Laverde and Jake Stringer. So there's a few ways to go about this, and I guess another way to get someone like Laverde over to help out Darcy Moore in that back line. So that is the trade hypothetical. What are the cons when it comes to Jake Stringer? Because I got to say, there is a couple. We know he is lazy, seasonally lazy. When it comes to contract time, he seems to be that high-pressure player and is basically playing for that contract money and get extra years towards the back end of his career. Understand. The other natural con is his age. The contrast in performance, which comes with injuries and inconsistencies. He hadn't kicked 40 goals up until this year, of course. And the last time he'd kicked 40 goals was in 2021. So there is that inconsistency. So we just have to bear in mind what type of Jake Stringer are we going to get. And I think we need to make a stipulation. And there will be a stipulation when it comes to bringing Jake Stringer over to Collingwood. It's quite simple. The stipulation is a buy-in and a body language when it comes to Jake Stringer. We know he can be a negative Nelly on the field, and we don't want to see those perceptions in the Collingwood jumper. That's not what Collingwood is about, and hasn't been for the last few years. So I'm sure Fly will make that very clear when speaking to Jake Stringer in this trade conversation. The last thing we should all, I guess, ponder about is who else is on the market when it comes to this role that we're looking for right now. We've talked about Tim Membry, who I like as well, but probably does not fit the third key tall forward as well as Jake Stringer. So you're probably looking at Jake Stringer number 1, Tim Membry as a close number 2, in my opinion. And then you have, and the other extra benefit with Membry is he's an unrestricted free agency. So we wouldn't have to trade any picks, just the salary we'd owe to him. And then you've got Taberner, who's been delisted, Tom Lynch, Peter Wright, Casbolt, Dixon. These are players that are all well above their age, well past their form, and they're not third key tall forwards. They are true key tall forwards, number 1/number 2. And the only player in that bunch who is in some sort of form is Membry. And like I said, Jake Stringer is probably ahead of the rest of them, the lot of them. So if Jake Stringer does end up in the black and white in 2025, what does the forward 6 look like? Well, it's Myercheck, McStay, and then you've got Jake Stringer, who can rotate through that midfield and swap directly with Jordan De Goey at times, which is a salivating prospect in its own. And then you have the small forwards fighting out for it. Bobby, Bo, Jamie, and Lockie Schultz. So that's 7 forwards, right? There's going to be competition, which is good. I think Lockie Schultz is going to have to work extra hard in the preseason. Maybe we tinker some roles with Bo McCreary getting more midfield time. Jamie Elliott's been tried off the half back in pre-seasons as a break glass in case of emergency, but I don't see that actually happening. He is our best small to medium sized forward right now. So I'm not going to even put that out into the ether, but that's what I've seen in the pre-seasons when I go down to the AIA Vitality Centre to watch the Pies. I've seen Elliott play off the half-back line, whether it be intra-club or match sim or whatever it may be. So that's the makeup of our forward line. It creates great competition. It adds an extra element of firepower, most certainly. But there is risk with Jake Stringer, more than Tim Membry, I would think. The question is, how much of a difference is it, and how much more are you going to get with Jake Stringer versus Tim Membry? Tim Membry is going to be a serious role player if he is to come to Collingwood, but Jake Stringer is going to be that match winner potential who can also go into the midfield if Collingwood are getting killed in the clearance battle. And that's something Collingwood haven't been great in the last couple of years, while still being a great side generally speaking. So just think about that as well when we consider Jake Stringer. That's all I've got for you guys tonight. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Go Pies.